Good morning, this is Robin Bieber on the Crude Spread Talk on the 23rd of April at 8:25 in the morning London time. The chart in front of us is June-July WTI. It's hit all its targets lower and like the flat price is reacting back up. It could easily push up a little bit further. It's got some bullish divergence on the stochastic and it's trying to get back to narrow the 5-day gap, which is done dramatically given what the 5-day gap has been over the last 2 days. It's technically pushing back and should have a sniff of the 5-day moving average around about minus 625. It remains under significant pressure whilst below 625. A failure there would take us back down to about minus 8, minus 9 level. And the key to any leg now is what it does at the 5-day moving average on any attempt to recover. And if you just push a 60-minute chart onto here, it looks like we could be in for a little bit of a recovery during the course of the London morning. And so, but watch this 5-day. This is the key. If it stays below the 5-day, there's not much further upside. And on the July-August, it's doing the same sort of thing from a low number where it hit its targets lower. It's now trying to push back to the 5-day moving average at minus 259. And if you actually put a 60-minute chart on this one, it's looking heavy. So do not be surprised to see a little bit of erratic action at the front end of the WTI curve over the next 2 or 3 hours or over the London morning. There's going to be a tug of war one way or the other, but there is no serious upside unless it gets above the 5-day moving average at 259, whereupon I would expect it to move back to the 8-day at around 223 level. Now, if we go on to some further back-end structure and we look at the DEC June WTI, it hit its target at minus 349 and had a wrong footing close 2 days ago below there. However, it's clawed its way back above 349. It's looking okay. It's doing exactly what the flat price and the front end spreads are doing, sniffing the 5-day moving average around 296. Its high has been 299 so far, so it's had a look at the 5-day and hasn't exactly punched through. There is no upside whilst below the 5-day moving average around 296. And if you look at the 60-minute chart, it's beginning to look a little toppy, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some weakness during the course of the morning on the DEC June. The DEC Red DEC WTI was similar. It hit its target at 563, closed below on Tuesday, wrong footing, but then came back yesterday to move over. No targets lower at the moment whilst above 563. It's also had a look at its 5-day moving average around minus 465. It's made a high at minus 455 today. But unless it gets over the 5-day at minus 465, there's no further upside. This is a classic recovery in an overcooked market that's still in a downtrend. Be careful. The 60-minute chart to your left is suggesting weakness for the next few hours. It's suggesting that what we saw just now up to around 455 was a bit too much too soon, and I'm expecting, or certainly the 60-minute chart is leading us to expect softer numbers. Now moving on to Brent structure. The June-July Brent is also recovering. It's in amongst its 5- and 8-day moving average. No further targets south whilst above minus 402. It's got a bullishly diverging stochastic. Were it to move and close over the minus 368 5-day moving average, there's room for a move up to the 13-day at minus 326. It's going to be erratic and violent. Below minus 373, and it's at 376 at the moment, the 8-day moving average suggests a little bit of a failure, but it's too early to say that yet. Be careful around the 5- and 8-day moving averages, which is exactly where we are at the moment. And the 60-minute chart on this is suggesting there's still some kick in it to the upside, i.e. I suspect it's going to try and move back over the 5-day at minus 368, which might leave it a little bit of room to recover. The July-August, pretty similar, but it's below the 5-day at 237. There's no upside unless it can get over the 5-day at 237 and preferably the 8-day at 227, just 10 cents between them. It's holding minus 270, and whilst it does, there are no targets lower. Watch this carefully. The 5 and 8s are going to be a testing part for it if it gets any more recovery, and the 60-minute chart on this is suggesting more upside during the next 2 or 3 hours. Probably we're in for a test of the 5-day at minus 237 area. Now moving on to the back end structure, the DEC June hit its target to 392, never closed below, has rallied up to the 5-day at minus 317 where the test begins. No upside whilst it's below 317. If it can move and close over there, then it has a run up to the 8-day at minus 275 in store for it. But look left to the 60-minute chart. Under pressure, flagging a downside for the rest of the morning. It's probably done too much too soon, and the rally to the 5-day so far has failed, so expect a little bit of a kickback lower for the rest of the morning, or at least for the next 2 or 3 hours. The red deck on Brent has held 589. It never closed below there. That was its target. It too is rallying up to the 5-day at around minus 501 and so far has shied away. This is typical downtrend action. Too much too soon, then a recovery back, and the 5-day moving averages spoil the party. Look at the 60-minute chart over here on the left. Too much too soon, and like the deck June, suggesting downside for the rest of the morning. In other words, too much too soon and a little bit of a correction back lower. Watch the 5-day moving averages on all this crude structure. They're going to determine what happens. Not very different from the flat price. That's all for today, folks. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.